Imagine the country wakes up tomorrow with absolute zero oil in the supply chain. No petrol, no diesel, just an empty system. Day one triggers immediate panic. Every petrol pump becomes a flashpoint for desperate crowds, and the city's main transportation arteries choke into a permanent, unmoving gridlock. By day three, the economy hits a hard break. Delivery networks freeze and factories fall silent, unable to power the machinery that keeps commerce alive. Our modern sense of stability is actually a fragile illusion, entirely dependent on an uninterrupted, invisible pipeline of imported liquid fuel. By day 7, the agricultural supply chain snaps. Without fuel to move produce, rural farms cannot reach urban markets, leaving city stalls devoid of basic staples like rice and lentils. Day 15 marks a dangerous tipping point. Black markets emerge with hyper-inflated prices, and the scarcity triggers a sharp spike in public unrest and theft. An energy deficit functions as an aggressive catalyst for total social anarchy, proving how quickly an infrastructure failure becomes a human catastrophe. This vulnerability is a documented historical fact, not a hypothetical fear. In 1973, global oil prices quadrupled almost overnight, sending the world into a tailspin. Even a global superpower was paralyzed. Citizens waited for hours in agonizing lines just to receive a small, rationed portion of fuel. As the petroleum reserves reached absolute depletion, the American economy slowed to a crawl, leaving city streets littered with out-of-gas signs. For an import-dependent nation like modern Bangladesh, the impact of a similar shock would be significantly more devastating than the crisis of 1973. Immunity starts with a massive, off-grid solar revolution. Decentralizing the power grid ensures that even if global lines are severed, local lights stay on. We must also maximize energy efficiency per person. Upgrading to high-capacity public transit like the metro moves the most people with the least amount of energy possible. Electrifying the transit fleet explicitly decouples our daily movement from fossil fuel consumption. When buses charge from clean, local sources, the global price of diesel becomes irrelevant to the commuter. A strategic oil reserve acts as a national shock absorber. Maintaining a dedicated 3 to 6 month supply buys the country critical time to absorb global disruptions. The final pillar is the aggressive expansion of domestic resources. Tapping into gas, biogas, and other sovereign energy sources builds a foundation for long-term self-reliance. National resilience is engineered by diversifying energy sources and systematically eliminating any reliance on a single external commodity. Multi-billion-dollar infrastructure is only one part of the solution. The ultimate safety net is woven from the individual habits of everyday citizens. Reducing unnecessary personal vehicle use and adopting carpooling directly lowers the nation's collective daily fuel burn. At the household level, maximizing natural light and cutting electrical waste preserves the power we do have for essential services. When millions of households make tiny reductions in power usage, those savings aggregate into massive national reserves. Grand infrastructure remains useless without an actively participating, energy-conscious population. Preparing today means replacing the threat of dystopian gridlock with a vision of a clean, optimized, and sustainable future. Strategic foresight and the collective intelligence of a prepared people provide the true power for national survival, far more than any volume of oil imports ever could. If we start implementing this resilient blueprint today, tomorrow's inevitable crises will become manageable events rather than devastating national disasters.